UFC 308 is upon us.
It came so fast.
It did. I remember, when Ilia first made his first walk to the UFC. And from then till now.
You knew.
I knew. You knew. Everyone knew. We're back. We've got UFC 308 upon us. Brandon, Camuela, or Emo Gabe, and I are doing a thing.
That was too funny. We were just talking about this before the show. There's Camuela's fighting, and his real name is Gabriel. Gabriel.
Allegedly.
Yeah. Were you about to say something?
I'm getting the mic ready, dude. But I mean, Camuela is my real name as well.
It's your real middle name. It's your real middle name.
Correct. Real middle name.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's why I call myself Dominic.
That's your middle name?
Yeah. No, it's Dominic. Well, isn't Santino your? No. I'm not familiar with
What's
Santino.
funny is all my family's names are all jacked up. My dad is Chip, but his real name is Samuel. That's actually where Camuela comes from. It's Samuel in Hawaiian. But Chip is nowhere on his birth certificate. But he was always called Chip. Everybody knows him as Chip. Nowhere on his ID, not on his birth certificate. It was my grandparents, so his parents, they got into an argument. My grandfather wanted him to be a junior, and my grandma wanted to name him Chip. And so he's like, we're naming it. My grandfather said, we're going to make him a junior. And she goes, all right, well, you know what? You can call him whatever you want. Put whatever you want on his birth certificate. I'm calling him Chip. So everybody knows him as Chip, but it's actually nowhere on any of his papers or anything like that.
Well, but he grew up in Hawaii, so all you guys are weird.
Yeah, you guys are very weird.
So I'm saying all of our names are all over the place.
No, they're not all over the place. You and your sister go by your stripper names when your real names are something completely different. They're very normal. Gabriel Kirk is also Camuela Kirk.
A pretty normal name.
Yes.
But
so
there's a
clear it up for
Gabe-
you guys.
What is it, Santos? What is it, Gabe?
So if you guys look on the LFA card on November 8th, there's a Gabriel something. And it's like this fat white guy with like an emo haircut. And in Discord, everyone was thinking that that guy was our producer, not Camuela. But it's the same guy. It's the same person. Camuela and Gabriel. It's the same person.
The Jawaiian, Kirk. I'll answer to any of them.
Well, let's get into your real nicknames.
Yeah, nicknames aside.
Well, you got a nice shirt on today. You got a nice drip today.
Thank you.
I
had to go shopping. I actually threw away like an entire drawer of clothes.
Who'd you donate it to?
The garbage.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just threw everything away.
Fuck them poor people.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm out. I just didn't like everything. Well, now, all right, so the trend is different. So like before, I could get away with all of the clothes. You just add a shirt, maybe throw a shirt away. But now the trend is different. Everything's like the boxy, bigger style, which I'm really appreciating as I'm old and fat and fluffy underneath this.
You're starting to fill out the boxy shirts.
Yes. And so I want the comfort of the boxy shirt and jeans. And this is like, honestly, I'm old enough to where this is what I grew up with. This was like 1990s.
Beastie Boys.
Yeah. Silver tab jeans and some big shirts. And so I'm happy again. I'm just reliving my high school years with not quite as good of a hairline. But so anyway, yeah, I just had to go shopping and do stuff.
Well, the shirt is cool. The necklace is cool. The shoes, jeans, they're in between. But
this is the only pair of black jeans I've ever had in my life.
I have a pair of black jeans, and as my ass gets bigger and I get bigger, the jeans stay the same size. And I wore them, and they're just like tights at this point.
Man, last week we had three of some of the biggest upsets we've seen in a long time, all on the same card.
What was it?
Dogs. We had Robelis, who was a favorite. We had Kyler, who was a massive favorite.
Wow.
And then we had Jake Hadley, who was a minus 500. Both Hadley and Kyler were minus 500s by the time the fights came around.
You know, only one of those surprised me, and it was the Kyler fight. The other two I could see because we talked about it. We said, hey, I think Robelis is going to win, but it's really hard to ignore the massive, massive glaring hole in this game. And Lane is athletic enough to take him down. So we said that. The Hadley fight we didn't talk about, and at the time it was going to be Brady Heastan. No. I think Smotherman's a good striker.
So here's the thing: is out of all three of those, I don't think that anybody on the winning side, any of the dogs, did any amazing job. I think all of the favorites really looked bad. Well, actually, I didn't see the Robelis one, but from my understanding, I came in after that. My understanding is he just got taken down and mauled. But the Hadley and the Kyler one, Hadley is a southpaw. Smotherman really didn't do anything. He threw right hands to the body. and then he just pressed him.
He punched in combination. He did.
No,
look
I mean
good.
he was fine, but it wasn't anything that was like that Hadley shouldn't have been able to defend. Hadley was Philly shelling it. I think he went from one takedown the entire fight through that left kick once or twice, and that left kick when he did throw it, that would have been a game changer. And he just wasn't throwing it. And then you have a longer, taller, bigger guy who's a clean striker, clean boxer, just in your face, not doing anything crazy. We talked about this a little bit earlier. Simplicity is key. And he just Hadley never adjusted to the different fight that was Brady Heistand to Smotherman.
Well, here's the issue too: is if he never like people don't take the path of least resistance. You know, when you get a number that's like plus 380, there was a lot of like negativity around Cam Smotherman. Smotherman's been good for years. Like there was a reason that he was a big favorite on Contender Series. I know he got slumped right away. If you had to redo that fight over and over again, I think he wins probably 8 out of 10 times against Charlo.
Yeah.
He's good. He is good. So when you get a guy that's plus 380 in a fight that's pretty much going to be just a striking fight, Cam's weakness is the grappling. We saw that in his fight with Ryan Coos. I thought he lost that fight, but he got taken down.
And Hadley can grapple. That's like I would have assumed that he would have engaged in the grappling a lot and just tried to find a submission. And it was like not at all. Like I mean, he just didn't. Fell in love with his Philly shell.
You got to take the path of least resistance. Like that is how you win fights. That's it.
And then Kyler, I have no idea what happened there.
Bizarre because the first round was so dominant.
Yeah, but yeah, the second round, of course, he got a takedown in I think each the second and the third round early, and then Font got back up. I know in the second round, I think in the third round he got a takedown and he popped up quickly. But then Kyler just ran on his back foot for the rest of the round and just took a beating. Like it was like he was off balance. It was very awkward to see somebody as high level as Kyler. Like Font didn't do anything crazy. He was just in his face,
jabbed him and pressed him.
And Kyler just could not handle that at all. It's really a weird thing to see.
And it's so weird because he's fought styles like that before. Yeah. He's fought Pedro Munoz. He's fought so many styles like that before. I don't know what happened. And you know, we had talked about his cardio in the past, and it always, you know, right around end of round 2, early round 3. This one was end of round 1.
Yeah,
was insane. And round 1
wasn't crazy. He just sat in his guard and kind of played around half guard. And
all he did was elbow him for 5 minutes.
But it wasn't even like he almost finished him, swung for the finish and adrenaline himself. It was a very mellow. In like MMA terms, that was a very mellow.
Well, and the one fight before this, his cardio had looked world class. We're like, whoa, he got on the
crazy,
the good stuff.
This fight coming up, man, I'm so glad I do not have to go back to Abu Dhabi. That is such a brutal flight.
Hey, there was just a pullout, so maybe one of the guys gonna need the short notice, and you got to go. Willie Cat Santos, Daniel.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Is that 25 or 35?
And I know Fight Ready's got quite a few 35ers. So Mick Maynard, if you're watching and you know that you are, go ahead and grab one of the Fight Ready 35ers.
Keep talking. I'm gonna do some text right now.
Please send Santino to Abu Dhabi. He would love to go. He loves to have the Sheik shit on his chest. Back for round 3. Are you actually legit sending a text?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Who are you gonna have? Junior Cortez, short notice. Against Said Nurmagomedov. Perfect. You heard it here first. Book it. But yeah, that really was a pullout. It was very unfortunate. I liked him as an underdog. That dude's very nice.
Who was it? You said it was Santos that pulled out?
Santos, yeah. We might want to confirm that. I don't know if we can look that up really quick, but that's the rumor mill. Then I've been at practice, so I don't know anymore.
Well, I threw out some text. We'll see if anything transpires.
How cool would that be if we got a text back right now and we could ink the contract on the show?
While live.
Fuck it.
We'll do it live. Who is he fighting? Oh, Said.
Said, yeah. He's the handsome ass one. God damn, he's sexy.
Just amazing.
You laugh, but it's serious, man. Like,
wait. So I just sent a text to 2 different managers. And I got a response back from both managers already.
Wow.
So we'll see. Both of them already sent his name in. The other one said, yes, I'm on it. So.
Oh, sick.
We'll see.
Now
maybe I'm going to Abu Dhabi this week.
Now I'm going to have to, can we just edit this out? Can you tell me the name that you sent?
No.
Damn.
All right. So
Text me.
yeah. So last week was wild. We've got Abu Dhabi this week. And the fights are early, right? 2 p.m.-ish, right? I think.
Oh, I would assume it'd have to be earlier than that.
Well, normally they do the pay-per-views
I think
on
the main card
American
starts
time.
at noon.
Nobody's asking you, damn it. You shut your 17-name mouth up. So anyway.
No, it starts at 7 a.m. and then the main card starts at 11 a.m.
Oh, gosh. That sucks because my kids have football games. Now I'm going to have to miss their football games for this. Because we know who's more important. Let's get into this card.
Is Eastern
Let's
time
do it.
3 hours ahead right now?
Is who?
Eastern time? Are they 3 hours ahead right
Dude,
now?
I don't know, man. I
Who
barely
knows?
know what time it is here.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on anytime. There's a lot of fights on this card. I think there's 14.
It was a lot to tape.
There was a lot to tape. And a lot of these guys, I'd seen, but I had to watch tape to really, realize what was going on a lot of them. So let's get into this. If you guys aren't Patreon members on the Discord, come jump on. It's a hell of a time.
Ooh, it's bare knuckle week this week.
That's always good. Last week you did well on bare knuckle.
Well, it was 2 weeks
2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago. Yeah, check it out. That's all I got. That's all we're plugging. Actually, we're plugging more stuff. Check out my bookie. Use code Santino because they are doing up to $1,000 deposit bonus. And not only do they have the fights this week, they have a lot of live in-fight bets that you can do. They also have a lot of live stuff that you can do for football. So football season is among us. World Series is coming up. The Yankees are back in the series. So MyBookie is going to have a ton of bets for that as well. So go to mybookie.ag, use code Santino, and, profit, bitches.
It's time to dust off that Yankees cap I bought you 10 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that. I wore that forever.
Yeah, you did. I
wore
remember
it to the end of I think I killed it.
You know what's funny is actually this chair, I got this at an antique store, and I have a picture of you sitting angrily with your Yankees hat on in this chair.
Sounds about right.
Wait, no, I didn't get this at the antique store. You got
No,
these chairs.
I got the chairs.
You sent me a picture of these chairs
In
your
yes,
Yankees hat. Yeah,
yep.
yeah. I'll have to pull that up.
Man, let's talk some fights. Gabre?
All right. Fight number 1. We have Ibo Aslan, -115.
Wait, that's number 1?
That's what's listed on
Topology or what?
Fight Odds.
Oh, all right. We'll go. This is some weird shit, but okay.
What do you have?
Yeah,
well, I'm on Topology, and I have Bruno Silva.
Yeah, no,
and Ismail
they switched the first
Naurdiev.
couple because UFC has Ibo Aslan listed at fight number 1 as well.
Okay.
Versus, let me go back to the odds. So he is -115 versus Rafael Cerqueira, -105.
Give me your thoughts on these big boys.
So this one is actually really tough because we don't have a lot of film on the Brazilian.
What do we have?
lad.
One fight, I think we've seen.
Two
or two
fights.
Yeah.
I don't know whether to. So obviously this is in the land of the Muzzies, and you're going to want the Muzzies to win. They're very adamant about their Muzzies winning. And Ibo, I believe, is a Muzzy. And Rafael's not. I don't think. I haven't checked, but I don't think so. It's confusing for me because Ibo's clean. Like he is clean. We talk about the issues with his cardio and stuff like that, but he dug deep and got the finish last time out in the 3rd round. He's clean. They're the one that he's pushing. This Brazilian guy is not the worst ever, but he is 34, making his UFC debut. He was supposed to be on Contender Series. He had 3 cancels, and then they moved him up to the just straight to the UFC. This is hard. I don't really know where to go this one. I think that I want to go Ibo here because I think he has a lot more process. I think this Rafael guy is very reactive. He does play with his back to the fence a lot of spinning stuff, a lot of weird stuff, but he is really dynamic. And we have seen Ibo hurt. We have seen Ibo slow. There's not a lot to say on this one. It's going to be a striking fight, a striking affair. I'm going to slightly edge Ibo here. Just he's clean, technical, going to stay in his face, put the pressure. So give me Ibo.
I'm going to slightly go the other way. And again, we don't have a lot to go on, so we got
mystery box. And usually the Brazilian mystery boxes end up being very, very nice.
Yes. So with Ibo, he throws really big and he throws really wide, and everything is like a knockout punch. We saw that in his last fight with Cerqueira, and I thought he looked very. I don't know. I know him and Cerqueira have history of that was his loss, so he wanted to go out there and swing and really knock him out. But I just wasn't with Cerqueira is a wild, wiggly, weird human, but he's not overly clean striker. And that dragged into the third round, and Ibo's trying to murder him and this and that. The thing with Rafael is that in one of his last fights that I was looking at, is he's very calm. And he sits there and people are swinging bombs on him and he's just shelling up and covering and moving. I'm like, come on. And then he almost like Rockies them where he's letting them swing on him. And he's just sitting there. It takes his time. Again, sitting there. And then he finds his mark. It's really weird to see people that calm, especially the level of competition he was fighting in the fight that I'm referencing was really low. And usually with a big disparity in competition, you kind of just want to get them out of there. Because I know, like, I would rather fight a 10-0 guy than a 1-10 guy, because you're just like, oh, what if I slip on a banana peel and they're all weird and they're awkward. And the guys who aren't good, like the 10-0 guy, you know, when they throw a jab, you know what it's going to look like. The weird 1-10 guy is just looping weird shit and stuff's coming from all angles and everything's like just strange. And you're like, let me just get this guy out of there because I don't know what's going to happen. And Rafael was super calm, did not do that at all, and then knocked the guy out in like one punch. Again, we don't have a lot to go on. For nothing more than I think Ibo overswings, and I think he's going to get really big. And the fact that Rafael is super calm in the pocket, I'm going to go him.
I'm just worried no volume from Rafael.
100%. Absolutely 100%. But Ibo fades so much. I think Ibo's volume is going to do what Rafael would need volume to do, and that's tire him out and do all of the stuff, and Ibo's just there.
But the other part of this, too, is most of Rafael's finishes are all in the first round. Yep. We haven't seen him go 3 rounds ever. I mean, we haven't seen shit. We haven't seen anything.
Yeah.
Most of these fights, who knows if they even happen. There's zero evidence of any of them. But it's all first and early second round, with one fight, I think, went into deep second.
Both these guys are can crushers. They're like phenomenal can crushers. I think Rafael, and the other thing with Rafael to make note of, his first fight was a different organization. The next 10 fights were all with demo fights, which means that's probably his trainer putting on those fights, picking those opponents.
Yeah.
And that's generally not great. We saw that with Explode FC back in the day, and it doesn't fare well. But if this was a lighter weight class, I would say but at heavyweight, it's not the end of the world. You know, anything can happen. So I'm going to kind of lean Rafael, but
he's pretty athletic looking. He looks fine. Yeah.
So.
All right. Next we have Rinat Fakhretdinov -235 versus Carlos Leal at +200.
So this fight I was filming, I didn't realize that it had gotten switched. So tell me about Carlos Leal, because I have not seen him. I just saw his topology. And he's beaten some really good guys, and
he's good. Yeah,
he looked good. And if he can stop a takedown, we saw Fakhretdinov go split decision with Dalby. Look, man, the resurgence of Dalby is phenomenal. Let's not.
He's good in his game. Yeah.
But Fakhretdinov is not a great striker. He's not bad. Like he's
bad.
Simple.
No, he's a bad striker, but it's because he mixes his wrestling so well in that he lands a lot.
And people expect him to wrestle so much so when he does strike, he has a good jab, a good cross. We'll leave it at that. But we saw if he can't get a takedown, that's a rough life for him.
It's going to be a rough life. Leal's a tank.
So I don't know enough. In my head, I'm thinking if Carlos can stop a couple of takedowns and doesn't death gas because it's short notice, like I love him, but I don't know him.
Has the best doctor, one of the best doctors on the planet, obviously, because he is so muscled out, so strong and physical, but seems to never get tired. Like he puts on a performance. The dude's got crazy leg kicks. His jab's beautiful. He kind of does this thing like you were having me do earlier. He's like pawing and then just flicking the jab, and then comes with the big right hand. He's clean. I've been a big fan of Carlos Leal for a long time. I think this is a great fight for him. One thing I do worry about is if he actually goes down, sometimes his hips are a little bit stiff and he could get caught on the bottom. But he's got a great fight. I think in general, and he could prove me wrong here, but I think he's got great fight IQ. He's fought super high level. He's an ultra veteran, hits hard as shit, great leg kicks. Like I like Leal in this spot big time.
Okay. I want to, without actually having seen him, but just I saw his record and I saw the guys he's fighting, which leads me to believe that he can stop a takedown and has a little striking. Man, it almost reminds me of who is it, Zaleski, like that Brazilian kid who, if you stop some takedowns, you start swinging. Yeah, I kind of want to like Leal here, Leal. I'll have to watch film on him.
Big Bird got plus 385 on him.
Whew. Sheesh.
Yeah, that's nice.
All right. Moving on. Next, we have Bruno Silva at plus 134 versus Ismail Naurdiev minus 154.
So my boy's back.
Yeah. So this fight to me, because I'm not big on Naurdiev. I think he's
We'll get big on him.
very fine, but still, I think everything just comes down to Silva. Is like, man, I think he's lost like 5 of his last 6. Like, what happened? Because Bruno Silva was so good, and then all of a sudden he wasn't.
He's not fighting Andrew Sanchez anymore.
That's true. Well, and he is fighting, like, he went from fighting the lower division to like the top of the
Alex
division
Ferreira,
really fast. And
Chris Weidman.
yeah, since then, so my thing with Naurdiev is I don't think he has a great chin, and
he doesn't. He is one of the most skilled, talented guys on the planet, and then finds a way to lose every single time.
Yeah, and I don't think his offensive wrestling is amazing. I think it's very fine if you can't wrestle well. Like, he will get you down. I think his striking it's
good.
It's fine, but even there, he just gets hit with stuff. It's not. And Bruno Silva, for one, his wrestling takedowns defense isn't amazing, but it's decent. It's pretty solid. Like, if you're not
He's good.
Good wrestler, you're not going to get him down. But Bruno throws straight punches down the middle. He actually is long, throws straight punches down the middle. And man, but he looked really bad in that last fight in Abu Dhabi against Shara. Was Shara his last fight? Just off the top of my head, I don't
No,
remember.
Weidman was his last
Weidman
fight.
was his last fight. Gosh, he's just looking worse and worse and worse. Man, if you told me that Bruno was like just on like the smallest amount of better supplementation, I would be like, hey, let's do Bruno right here. I think Ismail will. Gosh, I don't even want to say it because I'm really not big on him. I think Bruno is the better fighter. He just got old and sloppy and lazy, and you can't bet on old and sloppy and lazy. So I guess I have to say Naurdiev. But man, it would not surprise me to see a good in shape on the supplements Bruno come in and really starch him, because that's what really should happen. If he doesn't even need the best performance. He just needs a decent performance where he's not quitting and his cardio can get him through. And I think he wins this fight.
I just don't agree with that. Let's see. He was in the UFC.
Lost to Sean Brady.
Yes, and that's respectable.
Which is respectable.
And then,
but a lot of his fights were at 70. And now he's not a big 85er.
He is. Honestly, he is now. He grew a lot.
Did you think so?
He was young back then. So that was in 20. Yeah. He entered the UFC in 2019. So that's 5 years ago. And he was only 23 at the time.
But he's losing these fights out of the UFC. He won his last one.
And that guy I looked that guy up. He's 38. That guy looked 68.
Yes, he looked horrible. And that's the guy he's beating. It was a guillotine. The guy looked, I think he was 38, but he looked like he was 60. And then he was losing to Kutzel. Just a sloppy fight, got hit with a right hand. And then Bendel, he's getting armbarred. I mean, like, this is not a world beater over here who's losing his
Okay, but he beat Bektin Zahinavekov.
Yeah,
explain that.
I mean, I can't explain it.
That dude went 5-0 and then lost every fight since.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Bruno Silva's a better guy. I think he's a better fighter. I think it's all about which Bruno Silva shows up, and we can't predict the future. Man, so and in betting terms, I would just say, like, bet Bruno live if it looks decent. But
the line's not even good enough for you to bet Bruno. Here's what I think. Let me clear this up for everybody.
It's not good enough to bet Bruno. Bruno's a +1 something,
like 110.
Yeah.
Is that
so at a dog, I think if Bruno shows up, I think he wins this.
I don't think he wins. I think you're being really hard on Naurdiev. They call him the Austrian Wonder Boy for a reason. Also, what the fuck with him? Austrian Wonder Boy represents Morocco, lives in Florida, fighting in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, he's a globetrotter. The dude is actually, I think his striking is way better than you're giving it credit for. He does get hit sometimes, but he used to have that little bouncing style. He's a clean striker. He's at Kill Cliff. Like, he is good. His takedown defense has always historically been very, very, very good. So that's actually the fight that got me impressed with Sean Brady, because I was like, man, Brady's tooling this guy, and this guy's really talented. For me, Bruno Silva, I love Bruno. I've been huge on Bruno for years and years. He looks so slow
He's
now.
washed. Yeah, he's washed
so
out.
slow now. Losing to Weidman, he was losing before the pokes, and then after that, losing to Weidman. Now you get a guy who's 28 in the prime of his career. Yes, I know he got that dude. Kutsi can crack though. He can hit hard. It's not like a worst loss ever. He was 16-1 at the time. Whatever. I think this is Naurdiev by decision. I think this is how it's going to go. Bruno is super tough. He's super game. He does everything really
hard
well.
to finish, won't die.
Yep,
but,
hard to finish. But I think they're bringing him back for round 2, obviously. They see something in him. He beat a 38-year-old, and they brought him back. So I don't know. They want him to win. They want him to do well. Give me Naurdiev by decision.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Naurdiev wins it, but I'm not happy about it because he shouldn't.
I
guess
it.
We get old. I guess everybody gets old and then they start losing.
Bruno's lost 3 in a row and 5 out of his last 6. And he lost to Weidman,
All right, next we have Farid Basharat -600 versus Victor Hugo at +425.
Oh, this is you know me. I love me some Basharat.
Yeah.
Victor Hugo was calling for this fight, talking a ton of trash. Like, all right, Farid, quit ducking me. Like, going on and on and on and on about like Farid and like F you and we're going to fight and all of this shit. And I'm going, what the fuck is he thinking?
Well, when I originally saw the line for this fight, my eyes lit up like Christmas. And I was like, whoa, Victor is going to beat his ass. And then I put the tape on and I was like, ooh, actually, probably not.
The thing is Victor can get pushed up against the fence.
And he plays on his back foot the entire time and can be taken down.
That's all you have to, with Farid, who's the much better Basharat, and his single leg finishes are phenomenal. He's at ATT now. He's not in Vegas anymore.
Oh, no way.
He's been at ATT for a while. I think they're one of the best camps in the world. Farid, who's always had really good single leg finishes, good grappling, good distance. You add the ATT guys in there, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him body triangle, come up on top, and TKO a Hugo. So give me, I mean, Hugo's fine. He's dynamic on the outside.
I really do like his striking.
His striking is very good, but he can get backed up and pushed against the fence. That's all I had to see. And I'm like, dude, he's going to get backed up. And then when Farid engages in that grappling, I don't see Hugo stopping it after, maybe a little bit. First couple of minutes he shoots, he defends it. But if Farid puts together a little bit of a chain, and then the way that Farid hits that single leg, though, too, is he trips it, which is either going to put you on your back if he goes inside on the trip, but he points that knee down, and so he gives up. So he's going to give his back up to Farid, who's great there. So I like Farid here. I could actually see a finish on this. I know the smart play is
always Farid decision.
A decision. I know that. But him being at ATT and already having the grappling that he has, you add a little bit of that body triangle in, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a finish here.
I don't think he does, because I think the market severely underrates Victor Hugo. Severely underrates Victor Hugo. I think we forget he was like almost even money to like a 5-day notice Pedro Falcao. Like 5 days notice. That was a bad mistake. I think that Hugo is much better than people give him credit for. Even his Contender Series fight, right? We kind of talked about it. You had me trying to simulate him, which is weird because I'm nothing like Victor Hugo at all.
Oh, yeah. Who was supposed to fight him?
Haley.
Haley, that's right.
And Haley back then, maybe not. Haley now smashes him and kills him. But yeah, he fell into a leg lock. He's not like a leg locker, but he fell into it and it was like, okay, I'm here. Let's just do it. Dude's super game. Dude, if he's got the confidence to call out Farid, like he must know something that we don't. He must have some confidence that we just haven't seen on tape yet. But watching Falcao, who is a really good grappler, I really do like Pedro. I think he's got good wrestling. His jiu-jitsu is obviously phenomenal. Push him against the fence and take him down within the first exchange and then be on top. Well, now you go Farid, who is a nonstop motor, is not going to get tired, has a full camp in Abu Dhabi. Like, I don't know. I thought the line was super wide I still think the line is wide. I'm not going to say that it's not wide because on the feet now is a much closer fight.
Very.
And if you told me that Victor Hugo beat him, I'd be like, okay, I can see it. it wouldn't be shocking to me. It wouldn't be end of the world, but the grappling, I think, is going to be way too much here.
I think Victor Hugo, to take that jump up in competition, he needs better takedown defense.
100%. And better strategy.
Good. Yes.
He needs to be able to come forward and not fight on the back foot against Farid, who's going to pace you and push you against the fence. So, yeah, I think we're both in agreement here, Farid.
Okay.
All right, next we have Kennedy and Nzechukwu. Let me see. Sorry, pull up the odds. At minus 551 versus Chris Barnett at plus 401.
All right, well, last time you were picking Mr. Chris Barnett, so...
Who is he supposed to fight?
Shit. Can we see the canceled fight?
Yeah, it wasn't Nzechukwu. But
this was literally like a week ago.
Yeah, a week ago. But Barnett with Nzechukwu, these are two different things.
Yeah.
And Nzechukwu's high guard.
Oh, it was Junior Tafa.
Yeah, Junior. I mean, Nzechukwu's 6'12".
He legit would have killed Junior Tafa.
High guard.
Not killed him, but it would have been a close fight.
Who, Barnett? Or,
yeah.
I liked Barnett there and give me shit for it.
Yeah, but then watching how Junior almost Jesus Christ.
So, Barnett, he's wiggly and, I say wiggly, I mean like spry for his stature. Like he's doing cartwheels and spinning backflips and shit like that. I think he's just going to have a hard time literally touching Nzechukwu. The height differential is massive. And then, he keeps his high guard. It's going to be hard to snake spinning stuff around that. He has the jab. He has the reach. He has the kicks on the outside.
And he has a takedown.
And he has a takedown. And the other thing that he has too is the clinch, is he can just like settle on top of Barnett and just clinch him and knee him, which I think he's good at. So I like Nzechukwu here, probably by finish.
Yeah, it's funny. I was like looking at Barnett and I'm like, dude, he's got no neck. Like how he's got to be impossible to choke. And then I went back and I was like, oh, Barnett literally choked him. But he took him down, took his back, and then was in on a rear naked choke and like could not get it because the dude has no neck and he's good at spinning out of stuff. And I think Barnett got really, really tired, and then he hit that 5-finger, or we call it the soup choke, whatever. He ended up hitting that. I'm trying to think of like how this is going to play out, because for me, it's not a debate. I think Kennedy's going to smoke him. And not that Barnett's the worst ever, but he's slow. He actually is like kind of slow. His punches are slow. Yeah, I think at this weight and this height differential, man, it's just going to be hard for him to get. I just don't know what. I mean, what is he going to kick the legs and attack the body? Because Nzechukwu, he doesn't have a low guard. He's really high guard. That just alone is going to be hard to get to. It's not like he's a wrestler who's like, hey, I'm going to blast double somebody and put him down. He's got kind of bad takedown defense. Yeah, and so I really think that Nzechukwu is just going to beat him up with the legs. And then if they do clinch, he's just going to start tie clinching and kneeing him into grabbing, and somebody trips and falls and they end up on the ground and there's a TKO. I think if Kennedy wanted to make this as easy as possible, he just goes out, takes him down right away. Barnett is like, just elbows him. Yeah, because you're not going to get under the neck. He is actually pretty crafty, but Barnett has bad cardio too. Yeah. Like, it's not even like he's a cardio freak and just some big fat guy that's just like, crazy like that. He's kind of got bad cardio. Kennedy, go out there, take him down and ground and pound TKO. There you go. It's done. I like it.
Cool. All right. Moving along, we have Abus Magomedov at minus 138 versus Bruno Ferreira at plus 118.
I think this is the spot of the week for me, personally. For whom? For Abus. I like Abus a lot here. He is, 3 inches taller than Bruno. Bruno still has not really been out of the first round, not successfully. We saw him try to do a judo throw on Dustin Stoltzfus and end up on bottom. Dustin Stoltzfus taking him down and laying on top. And Stoltzfus was kind of coming on in that fight. Bruno was starting to wear out and go crazy, and then he gets the spinning back and then finishes it. To me, Abus, he's not a bad fighter. He's a really good fighter. His whole thing has always been cardio, but now we look at Bruno. We have no evidence to suggest one way or the other about Bruno, except for his last fight where he got pretty tired after one round of chaos. And in Abus's last fight, he also fought a Brazilian that's a crazy striker and actually has decent grappling, kind of similar to how Bruno is in Warley Alves, and he just took him down and mauled him for 3 rounds. Like, I think Abus can get on top anytime that he wants to here. He's so much bigger. He can punch hard. He's a dynamic striker too. A lot of front kicks. Like, I like Abus here. I think this is the spot of the week.
Yeah, you said it right there at the end is the front kicks. Is Ferreira, however
he's so small for the weight.
He's small, but then he holds his hands really high and he switches stances. And Abus, one of the things he does is that front kick, the teep to the body. And he does it a lot. And we saw Ferreira get hurt a little bit from the body. What is it, Stolfus that hit him in the body? Who was it? I think so. But you can see him get hit, but just stylistically, the way that he covers is he wants you to swing and then he wants to swing big back. But Abus is tall and long and is going to front kick. And then now, instead of being able to sit on the outside, Bruno's not going to be able to sit on the outside and throw those big bomb counters. He's going to have to find his way in. And in trying to find his way in, I think he's going to have to pressure and swing. And I think that's going to give Abus the clinch and the takedown. And Abus can wrestle. He can grapple.
And he's good on top, too.
He is. So, yeah, no, I'm with you. I like Abus inside the distance. Here's the only thing is he does have good jiu-jitsu. And I could see him almost hurting Ferreira and then jumping on a choke.
I think it's a submission, yeah.
So that's why I don't know. That's why I just say Abus inside the distance, because I don't know one way or the other. But man, yeah, I like Abus, man. I think he's good. I like his range. He has the grappling upside. You know that he can go 3 rounds, maybe not amazingly, but we don't know about that, Ferreira.
Yeah, he's going to top time him, and then what? And he's got to carry big old Abus on him.
Yep.
Cool. Next, we have the Myktybek Orolbai -300 versus Mateusz Rębecki +250.
This is insane to me that this is the way that it is.
Like the line?
Yes. So Orolbai is a really good grappler, and we've seen him at 170. Who did he just beat?
Elvis Brenner. And that was one of those, like, Brenner looked really big. And Brenner's, I don't know who Brenner is. He's Jekyll and Hyde. Some days he just looks amazing cardio. Other days he just dies. And I don't know. Maybe his cycles are weird. I don't know. But Brenner was on top quite a bit in that fight. And I think Rębecki gassed, but I think that was because he hurt Diego and was really trying to swing for the fences. Rębecki can fucking wrestle. Yeah, and Diego's a dink and dunker the whole fight.
Yes, and man, Orolbai does not. His striking is kind of like Rinat Fakhretdinov. It's like,
better than that. Come on.
No, it is, but it's like very like a 1 and a 2, and it's really predicated on his wrestling, setting up the striking.
His 1 and 2 is really nice. It's a very long 1-2, but you're right. That's pretty much all he has.
Yeah,
sit here, bounce, boom, boom.
And man, I like. Outside of cardio, if you take cardio out of this and you say that both of them have equal cardio, I would say Rębecki every single day of the week.
Wow.
Then now you add the fact that the cardio, okay, maybe it's bad and this and that. But man, Rębecki can wrestle, and we haven't seen Orolbai fight. I mean, he fought Uros Medic, who just got taken down and couldn't stop a takedown to save his life. Before they fought Hayward Charles at 170 pulling guard.
Yeah.
And so then, we have Brenner, who he fought, who hurt him and landed a lot, and would just. I mean, Brenner's chaos, though. You know, I mean, that's.
And he got on top in the first round, too.
So
and he was happy to pull guard.
Yeah, I kind of like Rębecki for the upset here. Like, everyone thinks I'm nuts. The only thing that worries me is the cardio. Is if Rębecki doesn't have the cardio to push through, and I absolutely see that if he has the cardio, like. I like him here.
Even his forward pressing striking is going to be an issue too.
Yeah.
Like to try to wrestle offensively when you're on the defensive as far as the striking is really, really tough. And then people see it coming and it's a lot easier to defend too. I think I'm with you. I'm going to go Rębecki. Also, it's going to be recency bias. I knew that Diego Ferreira fight was tough for him because Diego can scramble. Like even if Rębecki took him down, like Diego causes constant scrambles, and that's where the jiu-jitsu guys do really well. Is like I'm just going to cause scrambles to come up, wrestle, wear you out. But Diego is just constant tick, 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 confident in his game.
And Rębecki death gas trying to knock him out because he hurt him, he had him beat, had him dead. And then he couldn't put him away, and he was on death's door afterwards.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Like seeing Brenner just like take Orolbai down, and then Orolbai is just like, okay, cool, and like laid down in the guard. Like, yeah, but now you got a guy who's more aggro, who's going to be in his face, punching him.
Elbows, the shit. Like his ground and pound is good.
Takedowns. This is probably going to be one of the best dogs on the board. I think him and Leal are the two guys. Yeah, you're right. I think it's cardio dependent. When I first watched this, I said, oh man, it's going to be Orolbai just barely squeaking it out just on cardio. Like he is a good wrestler, just barely squeaking it out on cardio, but just for the sake of the show and for you guys. I think he's a really good dog pick, so I'll go Rębecki as well.
Cool. All right, in the main event of the prelims, we have Geoff Neal at -300 versus RDA Rafael dos Anjos at +250.
Give me thoughts on this one. One, I think it's a wide line anyway, but
yeah, I do too. I mean, RDA is such a veteran of the game. The dude does every single thing possible well. But he's very, very old. He's 39 now, and then he's at 170, which I know he's a big time tweener, and that's the biggest jump of weight classes, 55 and 70. It's probably near impossible for him to make 55, but he's just way too undersized at 170. And then you got the fast hand speed of Geoff Neal. I think Neal probably wins this fight on youth and athleticism and boxing, but this is a pass fight for me altogether.
Dude, I'm with you 100% because Geoff Neal can get himself backed up against the fence as well. He doesn't have this amazing lateral movement. That said, I do think Saif Saud is a decent game planner, and he watches film, and I think the only way that and Geoff Neal has good takedown defense. He does do a lot of stuff well. But RDA just pressures and puts you on the fence. And we know that he can do that for 15 minutes or 5,000 minutes. It's like, that's
always comes in shape. I mean, RDA is like one of the most perfect fighters to me ever. Great striking, great cardio, great jiu-jitsu, great wrestling. Like, he's just perfect.
He just got old. I mean, he's a former champion. I mean, he was on his championship run. He was amazing. Like, so I worry that Neal is just pushed on the fence and then gets taken down, pops right back up, and then he's on the fence. Gets taken down, pops up. So I think Neal can damage versus control the judges. And of course, can he put RDA out? Yes, but dude, RDA is not. No, I don't know that he can put RDA out. And here's why, is because it takes two people to get knocked out. Like if you have one person that's just not willing, it's just going to grab and grab and grab and grab. It's really hard. If RDA of old who'd go out there swinging, okay, that's a RDA that Neal could knock out. But it's almost like Neil Magny at this point, where it's like he doesn't get finished by Ian Gary because he just refused to fight. And he was like, no, I'll lay on my back and I'll fall down and I'll just get through the cards. And I think
that's about to end for Neil Magny. Pratis is going to take it from him.
I hope so.
He's going to take his ass.
So I think Neal can win this. I think he can. I don't think he's going to get a finish because RDA is going to have such a boring, annoying style that I think he's just going to rush himself in there. I lean Neal on he can land a few more strikes until I think RDA is going to control the cage, but I think the judges will favor the striking of Neal. But I wouldn't be surprised to see an upset here. And I think that line is crazy because, RDA is just cage pusher at this point.
It's more than that. Come on.
All right. First fight of the main card, we have Shara Magomedov -150 versus Armen Petrosyan at +130.
This fight is very annoying to me because this seems like a slam spot for Armen. I think Armen's an amazing kickboxer and better MMA fighter, but Shara looked really good in his last fight, I thought, against Olajaychuk. However, Olajaychuk is small and he's only a boxer, doesn't check kicks, southpaw, just big bombs, big bombs, big bombs. Now you're going against Armen Petrosyan, who's fought and beat insanely high level competition. He checks kicks. He's 6'3", so he's going to be bigger than Shara. Shara constantly plays on the back foot, and Armen likes to pressure. Armen can box. Armen can kick. it's weird that like it's almost worrying me that he's not the favorite, because I thought from recency bias and public perspective that he would be the favorite in this fight. And okay, then maybe you can work in on a value play on Shara, but because Shara's the favorite and Armen's the dog, I'm very confused here. I like Armen in this spot.
I'm shocked that you said that because I'm 100% with you. I was really shocked to see this. I'm like, what are the odds on this again?
Shara is minus 150. Petrosyan is plus 130.
Okay, so not so crazy. But yeah, you look at Oleg Shake Shack and
You love Shake Shack. You
I
said
love
that on
Shake
purpose.
Shack.
You threw
I
that in
know,
on purpose.
I
I
know,
caught that.
I
Don't think
know.
I slipped.
I love Shake Shack. And the thing with him though is he's in your face pressuring, but he wasn't, when he threw going forward, he would land.
And he got takedowns when he tried.
He did.
I think Armen's going to make some takedowns.
Here's the thing is like, one, yeah, if you get a takedown on Shara, he's going to lay on his back for however, until the bell rings. But, and it'll tire him out doing that as well. But he did really well with Michael because Michael just walks in without punching. I mean, he throws these big bombs and then Shara would just move and counter. And Shara loves, it's almost like said Nurmagomedov, they have that, it's not necessarily a full question mark, but they kind of flick the kick over the top, similar to a karate style question mark-ish kick. He throws it up there fast with both his rear side. He actually throws it up there faster with his lead side than he does his rear side. He does have a good clinch. He does have good technical striking. He's a good striker. He is a counter puncher. All right. And the thing though, Michael just walked in and was just running into stuff. And when he would go in behind his jab or double jab in that lead hand, he would find the right hand because it wasn't just able to time it that well. Petrosyan, the thing with him is you guys got to watch this. I'm always talking about like counter punching, all right, and creating the counters for it. And the thing with Petrosyan is really nice. You watch him with Christian Leroy Duncan,
who honestly reminds me a lot of Shara because primarily kickers and movement.
Yeah, but Duncan is the athletic, dynamic guy who beats people with his athleticism. Shara's, I think, actual technical striking is significantly better.
I agree.
I think he is a technically better striker. But the thing with Petrosyan, what he does really well is he doesn't sit there and wait for people to punch. He's like feinting in and out and like glides and these little movements, and he draws them in, and then he'll touch, and then he moves away, and then he'll throw these like little, low kicks, but you could tell are not to touch at all. They're just these flicking little low kicks, and he backs up like, oh, are you going to do it? Oh, he'll throw it again, come back. But his movement, it's always an off rhythm, but he's kind of, hey, I'm here, hit me. Nope, I'm away. And then I'm touching and I'm away. And he does a really good job of drawing people in to throw, and then he counters them really well. And his striking is really good. It's clean. I don't know that we're going to see him wrestle because maybe we see him clinch a little. I
think he'll touch the legs and just put him on his ass and then kind of let him back up.
Okay, maybe. But I think he can beat him with volume and just good, clean technique. And Shara looks for those big bombs. And then Petrosyan is going to return 3-4 punches back. The only thing that worries me is Petrosyan's chin. He can get rocked a little bit. And Shara swings for the fences. But I love Petrosyan here.
Shara doesn't seem to be a big puncher, though.
No, not at all. He's definitely a kicker.
The fight that concerned me the worst is he fought Trocoli. And like Trocoli had some moments in the fight while he was fat, out of shape, hasn't fought in 10 years, and never fought anybody good ever. That was like crazy to watch how he couldn't finish him until the very, very end.
Yeah. That one I think is more, I have a late minute replacement who's a jiu-jitsu guy. I don't want to do anything dumb.
It was a bad performance.
It was not the best performance, but it was very dominant. It was a very dominant performance. So.
All right, cool. Next, Magomed Ankalaev minus 360 versus Alexander Rakic at plus 285.
I'll go on this one. We talked about it a little earlier. Man, Ankalaev, I love me a basic striker. I love Ankalaev striking. Is he the best striker in the world? No. But he doesn't try to get fancy. And people swing, and he shells up, but he moves as he shells up, and then he's in your face. He can't check a leg kick to save his life, but
he's southpaw. It'll be fine.
Yeah, no, I just mean against Jan Blachowicz. So that was dumb. But he doesn't do big stuff. He throws a jab, And then he just takes his time and hit jab and cross. People throw at him. He covers up and he does the right stuff. And so often people want more and more and more instead of refine. And his stuff, the good thing about a lot of these Dagestani wrestlers is they know that they're wrestlers. And so they don't try to go too far from that. They keep their striking very simple. And a lot of times that's just enough to get it done. And with Ratchik, he's very good everywhere. Like he's fine. But he moves a lot. Everything is very not labored. Everything is just bigger than it needs to be. He's in this stance and he's big movements coming and going, and almost reminds me kind of in a much more minimized way is who did he just fight? Yuri Prohashka. How everything is big and dynamic and left and right, and he's trying to draw people in and get them to do something dumb and then capitalize on it. But you don't always have to do that. Like these guys think, I'll make this big switch step, big hook, and they'll come in. And then they don't come in. And so they do it again, or they get this other big movement instead of just like a small feint. Oh, they didn't react? How about you just throw a jab? Okay. And now you feint again. And then look, you guys, if they don't react, you just jab them again. It's the boxing, kickboxing, same thing, kickboxing. They don't react, you low kick them. They don't react, you low kick them again, till it starts to hurt. Then you see them start to try to react, and then the jab comes, and then this comes, that comes. It's just everybody wants it bigger. And like in football terms, like play action isn't a thing until you run the ball 15 times up the gut. You run it. Oh, fake it, and then now you throw. But everybody wants to start with the trick play and the flea flicker and the play action and all of this stuff instead of just running it up the gut first. And I love that about Ankalaev. Physically, I think he's going to be fine. We've never really seen him get tired. And I think Ratchik, or however the hell you say his name, I like him. And I think he's very good. And he mixes up wrestling. He mixes up striking well. I think just everything is big. And I think fights are made up of moments. Just who wins the moment again. And just a simple jab and a simple cross and doing the right stuff over the course of 15 minutes. I like Ankalaev here.
I'm with you. I mean, honestly, I don't need to go too much more. You said pretty much everything there. It's going to be a very different fight than the Yuri fight. I picked Yuri against Rakic last time for a different reason, though. He caused the chaos, and I said at the end of that, there's going to be one guy that's left okay because he can eat everything that you have to throw and fire back. And then there's going to be one guy that starts good and is going to fade out, and that was clear. Now we have a technical point fight, and it's going to be very different. I like Ankalaev by decision.
Yeah, I like it.
Cool. Next, we have Lerone Murphy minus 245 versus Dan Ige at plus 210.
Oh, boy. I actually need you to go first.
Dan Ige fight. All right. Who's taking his back first?
Oh, my God.
You or Lennox, my 11-year-old?
That's crazy because black guys don't know jiu-jitsu. So how's Lerone going to get his back?
Man. Oh. So if you look at Ige, I'm going to pull up Ige's record, okay? And every Ige fight, we have to.
You're such a hater. We need to have Ige on the show.
We have to repeat a few things because I actually like Ige. Everybody says he's the hardest hitter that they've ever faced. Everybody says Ige is the hardest hitter, and even I know I've said this a million times. Even Zombie said it, and I think Zombie got hit with like a jab the whole fight. Like it wasn't even like we were like what, and he's like, yeah, by far. I'm like, he barely touched you, and he's like, hardest hitter. I'm like, oh, okay. So he beat Gavin Tucker, who is not
chin, age, all that stuff. Okay.
Exactly, chin and age. He beat Damon Jackson, chin and age.
Yeah.
Yep. He beat Nate Landwehr,
chin and age, also
chin and chaos, but he's not. Landwehr I can't put together. He's chaos. He's just chaos, and I think.
But there is the age there.
Yeah,
too.
a little bit there. He lost to Zombie. Took his back, rode him out. He lost to Emmett, couldn't out wrestle him. He lost to Evlev, took his back.
He should have won that Emmett fight, honestly.
Yeah, I think so. Bryce Mitchell took him down, took his back. Diego Lopez took his back. There's a theme here. Even Diego Lopez can't even like out wrestle. And he was like, let me slide up to the back. I was like, oh my gosh, like Dan Ige, like at what point? are we gonna start like putting in a whizzer?
But Lerone Murphy to do that?
Yes. And here's the thing: is Lerone. I don't think he's the best striker, but I think he's
gotten better.
He is. He's good. He's clean, and he knows his range. And he almost reminds me of like a Farid Basharat, just very like technical and touch and kind of goes. He's not like going in the fire.
He used to, so that's been a big change.
He used to. It kind of reminds me of like Mark Diakasi, who went from a phenomenal Muay Thai kickboxer to a straight wrestler. I mean, you kind of hit that shift. And Lerone kind of did the same thing. The issues, so we've got Ricardo Ramos, ground and pound, Douglas Silva, D'Andrade, unanimous decision. Makwan, he need his soul out of his body.
After losing the whole first round.
Yep, split decision to Santos. I actually thought he might have lost that fight. And I remember being really high on the Lerone Murphy hill, Culibao and Edson. And the thing is I cannot get away from like Dan Ige losing to grapplers, just holding on to them. And even if he doesn't take his back, so if he does take Ige down, Ige will give his back willingly.
Come on.
And then if he doesn't get him down, I think he can just cage push him and press him and out grapple him. Ige has some really clean boxing. Damon Jackson, body head, beautiful left hook, a lot of really good striking. But he just doesn't. He's just, I don't know. It's like he's just out there fighting, and then he's not putting together a game plan. And really, the game plan has been to not get your fucking back taken and ridden out for a whole fight again and again and again and again and again and again. So I cannot get behind Ige until I see him stop a takedown, put a freaking whizzer in, not give up his back, and then get out when people do take his back. But he just, people just piggyback him, and that's that. So Lerone doesn't get tired. He's a good grappler. He trains with good guys, good range. I got to go with Lerone here.
You have bad Dan Ige hate, but I like Lerone.
And I like Ige. I just don't like that he gives his back up.
We're going to have him on the podcast. And then first thing we're going to go over is back defense. Live on the show. I like Lerone here only because I think he's a more complete mixed martial artist. You said that Dan's just out there fighting, no game plan. I think Dan's out there just punching, no game plan. And he does. Honestly, I think he's a better scrambler than Lerone is. Lerone is very good, though, at just mixing it up. Touch, wrestle, top control, touch, wrestle, top control, and he'll do it as many times as he needs to. Put the volume. He can put a stamp on it. He just went 5 rounds and looked amazing. Now in a 3-round fight, he'll be able to push that pace 10 times as much. Bigger, stronger, faster. I want to say harder hitter, but according to what you said, maybe not a harder hitter, but he's got a good chin. I like Lerone just out hustle Dan Ige.
It's decided. Bet your house. Bet your house on
minus 245.
Bet your house on the amount of minutes of back control Lerone has.
0. It's going to be 0. I would take any wager.
Man, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
All right, in the co-main event, we have Robert Whittaker plus 209 versus Khamzat Chimaev at minus 244.
Do you have a strong feeling about this?
No, Khamzat. I'm always confused by Khamzat.
Hold on, before you say, I want to hear your thoughts first. This is a 5-round fight, 5-round co-main event.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna love Whittaker. That's the thing is like I'm always confused by Khamzat. Khamzat could go out and starch Whittaker round 1. He could, like that could happen. But Whittaker has great takedown defense. He has good jiu-jitsu, good stand-ups. He does everything right, everything well. Khamzat's jiu-jitsu is really nice, though. It is really, really nice. We get out of round 1, now we have a fight. We have that bounce, the movement of Whittaker, the lateral side to side, the jab, the striking. We just saw it with Usman, who had 2-shot knees up a weight class. He was
on 4 days' notice.
On 4 days' notice. Now you have Whittaker, who's filled out for the weight class, ultra veteran, good grappler, good striker, amazing cardio. It's hard not to side with Whittaker. And I get, first 2 rounds, you're in for some trouble because he could easily get taken down and subbed right away. But 5-round fight, Whittaker's the man.
Yeah, I wonder if we're going to see EPO Khamzat over here.
100%.
So, yeah, honestly, Khamzat's wrestling is really good. It's
his grappling as a whole, jiu-jitsu, wrestling. Did you see that video of him the other day going with the Olympic gold medalist this year and just tossing him? It was crazy.
It's wild. I'm sure I've said this every time that Bobby Knuckles fights. Kelvin has said, we've asked Kelvin who's the best guy he's fought and who's this and that. And he's like, man, Robert Whittaker. He's like, I had no idea what was going on in that fight. He's like, I couldn't figure out, is he going to kick me? Is he going to punch me? Which way is he going? What is he doing? He's like, that was a riddle I couldn't solve. And stylistically, I think that Robert Whittaker's that low jab hand is going to pose just his stance.
Little underhook.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think he's going to be, it's just putting stuff. I think in the main event, we're going to see that same style pose some problems against the shorter fighter. Getting inside is that low hand in the range. Khamzat's striking looks better and better. We have seen him get hurt. We saw him get a little rocked with Burns. And, out of the first round, I mean, Burns got back up and held his own. And that was a pretty old Burns, who I don't think
is near the striker that Robert Whittaker is.
Yeah, I think you're right. And so, I like Robert Whittaker especially on a 5-round fight. On a 3-round fight, I think he could probably win the first 2 and then do enough to not go. But on 5, that's a really hard. And here's the thing. Here's what I actually think is the big deal here is that I think Khamzat could go out there and starch Bobby Knuckles. But I think it being 5 rounds, he's going to hold back. So I think he's
trying to preserve himself.
Yes. And in trying to preserve, I think he's going to get tired anyway, but it's going to take away his finishing ability. Which is why we've told Camuelo over here to think of every fight as a 1-minute fight for the rest of his life. Him and Paulo Costa.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you choke Rybovich, it's a different conversation. Full send-in, 1-minute fight. There you go.
All fights are 1 minute. I'm with Bobby Knuckles.
Wow. Okay.
All right, on to the main event. But first, you guys have anything you guys want to promote?
My bookie. You guys go to mybookie.ag, use code Santino. Do it, get deposit bonuses, get all the live bets, all the fun stuff, mybookie.ag. And then come join us on the Patreon.
What about your book?
My book? Dude, I do have a book. I'll put the link in the notes. It's a memoir. I have another book coming out as well that I actually signed with a proper big publisher, St. Martin's Press, which is a part of Macmillan.
Wait, are you a published author?
And he's an ordained minister.
I am a published author and an ordained minister.
And a college professor.
Former college professor.
People don't know this. And
this other side of me. Oh, what?
Didn't you have something else? I thought you had something else.
I think he's a doctor.
Yeah, doctor also.
Yeah.
I love doctor.
Yeah, unlicensed doctor practicing medicine. So come join us on the Patreon, the Discord. If you want some good bonuses, go to mybookie.ag.
Fun bare knuckle week. I actually really like this event for the UFC. There's a lot of good stuff. LFA this week in Vail, Colorado. There's so much good stuff. Come on, join UAE Warriors and all kinds of good stuff. Yeah.
Now we got main event time. We're talking.
All right, here we go. In the main event, we have the champ, Ilia Topuria, minus 230 versus Max Blessed Holloway at plus 195.
Do you want to go? Do you want me to go?
I like when I go first on the main event and then you end the show. I think that's a good way to go out.
Okay, go.
I'm so conflicted here because I picked Volk against Ilia, and you go against Aura, and that was the tough part. Like Volk, I love. I think he's one of the most technical, beautiful fighters of all time, but it was just Ilia's time. And this fight here, I love Max, and even just from the X's and O's and the strategy, I still like Max. I still think like Max is so good. High volume, does everything well, takedown defense, everything is perfect about Max. Dude's never shown like a bad chin, never been. Well, they counted the knockdown. I'm not sure if they did against Gaethje, but man, he barely ever hurt. And then you have this little pitbull in Ilia that's got this crazy aura, all this knockout power. His jiu-jitsu is excellent. He can wrestle a lot. This is a very tough one for me. And, most likely I'm either going to sit out or I'm going to play Ilia, I think. I'm not going to keep going against the aura. I think Ilia's probably, going to get a knockout, honestly. Just pitbull, pressure him. When Max wants to firefight, I think those tiny little arms are going to connect much faster than Max's long arms. You can do that against Gaethje, who's bigger, slower, wider. But Ilia, who's got really, really tight boxing, I think eventually he's going to clip that chin. And this is going to be the first time we see Max go out, unfortunately, because I love Max so much.
Yeah, I'm conflicted a lot on this as well. And if you look at Max's record, the guy he's lost to was Volk, the same size as Ilia, 3 times.
And probably not as good of a boxer and not as much power, but good reads, good stuff like that. Kicks.
Who are you saying is the
Volk?
Yes. No, Ilia's definitely the boxer. But here's the thing that I think it was actually the kicking game of Volk that gave Max trouble. And yeah, Volk landed a lot of good right hands and 1-2s, but what Volk does, and their whole team, if you watch them, they move laterally and they throw the inside low kick, inside low kick, inside low kick to right hand. And I think that's what set it all up. And of course, he lost to Poirier, who was just big. Like Poirier just big brothered him. And that's why I think everybody was on Gaethje, I think myself included at the time, was because we saw what Poirier did to Max back in the day, and it just didn't seem like he was durable enough to withstand
that division. Yeah.
But it was a kicking game that I thought was the big difference. And then the wrestling of Volk, because Volk, I actually think is a better wrestler than Ilia.
I agree.
And I think we saw, if you look at, I forget which, I think the first or the second Max fight with Volk. Max, I think, won the first 2 rounds where Volk is on his back foot, and then Volk starts pressing forward and wrestling and pushing. That's, when he kind of wins those. The thing though is I think that it's so weird. There's such different styles. Forget about height and range and all of that stuff for a minute. Max is a volume, like, I don't want to say clean boxer. He is a clean boxer, but that is not a guy. If you put him in a boxing gym next to an 8-0 boxer hitting the bag,
he's getting crushed.
Well, no, not even that. You just see the difference. You just doing bag work. You just see, like,
because he's a lot more squared up.
You see just dynamic, good boxing. And that's what we have with Ilia, is just these clean combinations again and again and again. Whereas Max, he just moves well, and the reads are well, and the range is well, and he finds it in the moment. Whereas it's almost like a pre-planned game with Ilia versus a flow state of Max, like, and then it's who's better at what. I think Ilia is going to have a really hard time finding Max. Max's reach is listed at like 3 inches long, but everyone seems to have a hard time finding him. And I think that's because of his footwork. He really does have good footwork, and he leans in a lot. So it makes you think that he's closer than he is. And then he draws even his hands. He brings them a little bit lower. And so I think there's a really hard thing to find the range on him. And I think to find the range on Max, I think you've got to kick. But Ilia doesn't really kick. Like, he's just not much of a kicker. And then power, I would say 100% goes to Ilia. Not even power. Yes, power, speed. I think the speed of Ilia is what is scary. And then he does go to the body well, and he does stuff. I like Max here. I got to qualify this with I'm always, he's Dreykus Duplessis to me. And I don't mean that like he's bad or anything. I just mean, like, I tend to always think that he's going to lose, and then he ends up winning. And so not like he's always going to lose, but we don't really know if he has cardio issues. I mean, we haven't really seen him. Yeah. We haven't seen him pushed. And in I think it was the Emmett fight where he just beat him up, but it wasn't really like a fight. It was him beating somebody up for 5 minutes, and anybody can do that. It's when you start fighting and pushing, you don't get stuff, you get hurt. How do you do? But we haven't really seen cardio issues since his first fight, and that was short notice.
COVID too.
Yeah, I mean, it was COVID, short notice, like whatever. So I can't really put that into play. But then, like, we haven't really seen him fight anybody like this that he can just, like, that has the striking and the footwork of Max. So I like Max here. I'm always big on Max, and maybe I'm overvaluing Max. And I always overvalue Max, and I always undervalue Ilia. And so I could absolutely be doing that here. But I like Max. I like his footwork. His takedown defense is actually really good. His jiu-jitsu is really good. I don't think that Ilia is just going to put together a wrestling heavy game plan and ride him out for 15
It's too high
minutes.
level for that.
This is going to be a striking match. And then it's really, I mean, Ilia hurts everybody by going to the body first, and then he comes upstairs. The other thing, and I'm overthinking this a little bit, but Volk was kind of was he even recovered from the Makhachev knockout?
Probably not.
Right. And Volk is older and worn. So I think we're putting more on that fight than we should, because I think when we see Volk again, I think he's going to look aged 10 years. And I think Volk is not the same Volk that was. I think if he fought the Volk of 5 years ago, I think we're not even talking about this. I think he murders him. So I'm going with Max here in the upset. But the thing, though, we have 3 undefeated fighters on this card. We have Shara, we have Lerone, and we have Ilia. And so by my predictions, 2 of those fighters are losing. That's Shara and Ilia, and Lerone wins it. And statistically, you know, I don't know what the statistics would lead one or the other, but it's like we have 3-4 guys on a card and 3 of them win, and you get really nervous because statistically you're probably not going to go 4-0 or 3-0. So you kind of look at it that way. And so I think of these guys who are all undefeated, and I don't think it's going to be like last week where we saw 3 huge favorites lose. So I think Lerone is going to be undefeated at the end of this. And then I think that might be it. I think the other 2 might lose their O's. So I'm going Max here. That's all I got.
All right. Great way to end the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And have a good weekend.
See you next week.